All right, what's going on, everybody? So as you can see from behind me here, we got a giant unboxing to do. I got 3 months of the 6-act to open up. I haven't peeked at any of them, and I haven't seen much of the online videos from other creators on what's in them. I got a brand new reel for that 7/8 extra heavy I opened on the last video, and then I got another box of baits from a small company that I support, being veteran owned. So sit back, get comfortable, grab some popcorn, because this is going to be a long one. I'm going to go through all of this. I have another big box right here that's got some extra baits that I ordered. I took advantage of the Black Friday sale, got some stuff. What else is in there? I think that's it. And then I got a box of the new jigsaw from 6 Cents too. That's their version of the chatterbait vibrating jig. So I haven't peeked at those. I have seen a couple of videos from other creators. So I am excited to actually get my eyes on mine that I was able to get before they sold out. So let's bow our heads, do the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. In Jesus' name, amen. So, here we go. So this stuff here that I got in front of me here, it's a small little white box, is from a company called BattleBaits. This is a veteran-owned company out of Missouri. The gentleman down there, I don't know his name. I'll link his website down in the description. Veteran-owned, hand ties all of his stuff. He uses top quality components, great hooks, great skirts, just an all-around great company. They sell out a lot because they are top quality, so he restocks his websites on Saturdays. So if you see anything in here that you want to go ahead and grab, just be aware that they're probably going to be out of stock. On Saturdays they restock, and if you're not in there probably within the first couple hours or so, the stuff that he stocks sells out pretty quick. So just got a few things here. Their spinnerbaits are some of the top on the market. It's a funny story. I actually tried to film this video last Friday when I had off, and when I was going back through the footage, I realized during the editing process that none of the baits that I was trying to show on camera are actually in frame. So this one here already has the trailer that I use on my baits on it. That is, I believe, in this extras box here. Let me get this out. So the trailer that I like to use on my spinnerbaits and that sort of stuff is the juggle from 6 Cents. This juggle minnow is 4 inches, soft plastic, just a simple bait. But what I like about it is on the end of it here, it's got this small little ball. Can you guys see that? And what that does is, it doesn't matter how slow you bring this through the water, if you're just trying to get it started, or you're really trying to slow roll it on the edge of a brush pile or a rock and you're bouncing it off stuff, this little tail back there is just kicking. On the smaller spinnerbaits like this, 3/8 ounce single willow blade, you don't need to run this very quick, and this thing's back there giving that secondary action. It's absolutely phenomenal. BattleBaits, this is I think his version, he calls it the minigun, I think is his, and this is just a small little 3/8 of an ounce single willow blade spinnerbait. Last year in the bleeding shad color was probably my highest producing bait that I had all of last season. Probably caught 15 or 20 fish. Anyway, I don't catch a lot of fish. I go out there and I have fun, but in terms of some of the guys that are down south or in these, they just have thousands of acres of lake to cover and they can do it all the time, they catch a ton of fish. But minigun series, anyway, I digress. Anyway, minigun series, BattleBaits, awesome little bait. Juggle from 6 Cents as a trailer. This is in that morning dawn color, I believe he calls it. So I got one in that. I got their full size spinnerbait. So this is the suppressor series, I believe. Again, don't quote me. Like I said, I will leave his website linked in the description, so you can go on there and fact check me and make sure that I have the right names. Probably should have done that before I started to film, but here we go, we wing it. This is just a regular bone pattern, white. This is I believe the Suppressor Series full size 3/8 of an ounce, double willow, painted white, bone color body. And again, even on the full size spinnerbaits, the full size 3/8 ounce, I'll still just use that juggle minnow on the back of it. 4 inches, that's plenty long enough to get outside the bend of the hook, and it's outside of the edge of the skirt, so the action of the trailer in behind it is still going to go ahead and do that action. It works well for me. There's a new trailer that 6 Cents come out with that I'm going to try on the back of these two to see how they work, but I'm going to use them for the bait that they're designed with first before I try them on something else. So I got 2 small ones. Let me see. Nope, I got just that one small, nope, 2. There's the other one. 3. So 3 of the smaller minigun series. There's another one in the Morning Dawn. Again, really killer color for me up here, Northeast, being in Maine. And then I believe this one here is called Quick Limit or Money Gill. Again, his descriptions will be on his websites. I can't remember all of the colors, but again, it's just a standard shad color with a little bit of purple. Really good color for me up here in the Northeast. And then again, in that Suppressor Series, I got the that Bleeding Gill in the full size 3/8 ounce. Can't wait to throw these. I will put any sort of footage that I catch on them is going to be, of course, on the channel. So here we go. And then I got a few of his brush bomb jigs. All of his stuff is hand tied. His skirts are phenomenal. And I can't wait to throw these. They're great. I can't say enough of good things. This one's just kind of like a brown green pumpkin with an orange, brown, green pumpkin. Really good weed guards, solid stout hook. Just great stuff. BattleBaits.com. I'll leave him linked in the description. Great guy, phenomenal products. So we'll just go through these in order. These are December, January, and February's 6 sack. For those of you that are not familiar, 6 Cents offers a subscription sack to where they will put together a bunch of baits for you. They'll put them in a cool little sack for you and then ship them right to your house. This is how I've grown my tackle collection. I don't like to shop at Walmart or Dick's and that sort of thing, just because I'm trying to support the smaller companies, hence the BattleBaits. 6 Cents. 6 Cents has grown quite a bit over the last few years, but they're still, in comparison, they're still smaller. So December 6 sack, pretty cool. Comes in a little green, says Merry Christmas on it, so that's pretty cool too. Just let's dive into it so we don't waste too much time. Let's start with, I was actually just looking at these. These are what they call the beacon blades. So these would kind of imitate, you can put them on the back just with a regular jig head, put them on your line first. And what they're going to do is going to kind of imitate a spinnerbait. So you take a regular jig head, you put these on your line, pass your line right through there. Can you see it? Right? And then what that's going to do is, as that comes through the water with your regular jig head, it's going to look like a spinnerbait. So it's going to look like a small group of bait fish or whatnot, without having to spend more money for the spinnerbait. A couple of bucks on them. Put those behind a jig bait. Bob's your uncle, you got a spinnerbait. Or you can put them in the front of one of these little guys right here. This is the Conda swim jig, and this color is phenomenal. I think they call it lavender shad. Yeah, lavender shad. Phenomenal bait. A little bit more of a finesse style swim bait. Swim jig. The weed guards a lot. What do you call it? Not as stiff as a standard swim jig, so you have to be careful where you throw this one, because you can get hung up easier because that weed guard's not as stiff. Still a great hook, still a great bait, and that lavender shad color is very similar to the Morning Dawn. So, Conda swim jig, top notch, can't beat it. What else we got in here? Regular finesse, just swim jig heads. Put a paddle tail or grub tail on the back of these things, swim them around. I just recently found out that here in the state of Maine, for those that aren't familiar also, coming September of this year, September 2026, whether it be a painted jig head or a regular lead jig head, they are no longer going to be allowed to use in main waters. Anything that's under an ounce needs to be either steel, tungsten, tin, nickel. It can no longer be lead to help protect the loon population. So right now what I'm trying to do is do some research online to find some, I can't say cheap, but affordable tungsten to replace all of my weights, because any jig head like this come September, I won't be able to throw them. It's going to be against the law. Thanks, Maine. So there's another tax technically that is being added on to the regular person, because now anybody that likes to fish with things that are less than 1 ounce now has to go out and replace all of their lead fishing gear, because the state of Maine says, no, you're not allowed to do it, which I get it. You know, we're saving the loons. Loons are a beautiful bird. I'm sure you guys will see some footage of them this summer when I'm out on the water. They are all over the place. I had one last summer that was chasing my bait through the water, my spinnerbait, and I just kept kind of messing with the loon. I knew I wasn't going to hook it, but it was still pretty cool to watch, to see him under the water there swimming, chasing the bait. I was praying that he didn't actually hit it, but because that would have been a disaster. Oof, what a mess that would have been. Anyway, I digress. Let's move on, because we're going to be here forever. Just regular, they're jugular EWG hooks, standard Texas rigs and stuff. What do we got here? Oh, the panorama. That's a very lifelike bait. Rig it on its side, bounce it, Texas rig it. You'll be good to go. Can't go wrong with that. The party minnow, I haven't thrown these. These are another smaller. I don't drop shot a lot. I think that's what's the primary use for from everybody that I've seen online. I don't drop shot. I'm not a finesse guy. I'm a power fisher, spinnerbaits, jigs, whopper ploppers, frogs, that sort of stuff. The smaller finesse stuff I need to get better with. I just don't throw it enough. And the lakes I fish, I don't really see a place to fish it. I don't fish a lot of rock piles. I don't fish, the weeds are all over the place. It's not like I have a hard weed edge that leads into gravel, which I can throw this on, you know, that's just, I don't know. If you have some spots to where you can put down in the comments on where I can try to practice my drop shotting technique so I can get more proficient at that, let me know. But as of right now, I'm not sure. And being a 3-inch, I'm not even going to be able to use it as a trailer for anything, to be honest. So we'll see what happens to that. Let's see that big bait. This big one is probably pays for the 6-sack by itself this month. These baits, the 6-inch trace, is like a $35 or $37 bait by itself. So if you were to go on the website, which of course I'll link down below, and try to buy this bait alone, it's like a $35 bait. So you get just this bait alone in the 6-sack, pays for your subscription of the 6-sack. So everything else is just a bonus. So absolutely phenomenal. These things are great. Probably my favorite jointed swim bait that I've ever thrown. I tried the KVD stuff 10 years or so ago. They're small little 2 3/4 or whatever they were. Hooked one fish, thing fell apart. I had another one in the tackle box, threw it out there, got it snagged into some weeds, went to pull it out, pulled the hook off it. So I was like, well, I'm done with that stuff. These ones right here, last summer, my oldest boy Dalton and I were out on the boat, and I hooked into a pretty decent sized pickerel, about 2.5 pounds or so, which is big for a pickerel. And the thing was flopping around in the boat and hooked my thumb, and we were freaking out on the boat. Had to cut the hook off it. That's a cool story. I'll have to get Dalton, see if he'll do a video to have him retell that story. That'd be pretty cool to see. So December sack, lots of good stuff right there by itself. Pays for the subscription sack all by itself. Just that one bait. Moving on, January. I did see Justin Royal unbox the January sack, so I kind of have. But here it is, March, so I forgot what's in here anyway, because my memory is like a goldfish. I ain't gonna remember anything. So we'll paw through this one pretty quick too and see what. I'll save the hard baits for last. We got two. Oh, yep, these things are, ooh, the Aussie. I haven't thrown it. That's another phenomenal trailer of sorts too. Divine swim baits. These are fantastic. I use these a lot too if I run out of juggles. This is my second go-to for my swim bait trailer. Vibrating jig trailers. So again, super realistic coming through the water, just a very finessey kind of tail waggle. Not much of a hunt movement with their head. That's why I prefer a different one. But awesome colors. You can't go wrong with anything from 6 Cents. Their colors are the best on the market. This Aussie has more of a belly to it than the Juggle does. So I haven't thrown these yet. These may replace the Juggle. Same size, same 4 inches. But they are a little bit more, they have a bit more of a belly to it. So the Juggle is more flat when it comes across the belly. These are a little bit more keeled. It's kind of tapered towards the bottom. So when used as a trailer, let's rig one up here, because I would use this color on this Bleeding Shad spinnerbait from BattleBaits. So let's paw into this and rig one up so we can see it on the bait. Again, Bleeding Shad color, battlebaits.com. I'll link them below. Silver blade up top, red kicker blade. Awesome wire keeper on here. Just a little tip for you guys here. I don't know if anybody else does this or not, but with these wire keepers, what I like to do is when I get the bait on there, so let's thread this on there, try to get that as middle as we can. Keep that as centered as we can coming through the bait. Just kind of eyeball it till you get down towards, you know, the end of the bait. Come out just behind the slot. And then what I like to do here is I like to turn this 90 degrees prior to pushing it on there. So then when I turn that bait back on its belly, right, that keeper then creates its own hole. So if you just go on and off, the bait can slide off in the same direction that it slid on. So what I do is I turn that bait 90 degrees, slide it over the keeper, and then turn that bait back in the direction that I want it to go. And it may help or it may not help, I don't know, but that's mentally, you know, just that fake confidence that comes into your head when you do something. And there you go. So that thing right there is ready to get munched. Just a small little tail on the back. Again, it's got that same, you know, ball on the end of it there, which is going to allow that thing to kick. This is ready to go. I'd go with that red blade on there. I'd go out that, and if the lakes were thawed, come on, Mother Nature, get with the program. I would go throw that today. That red in the spring, killer up here in the Northeast. Anyway, let's keep going. Got a lot of stuff here. Get sidetracked. Some more hooks. Can't go wrong with, can never have enough hooks. And here's another one that I won't be able to use come September. That's that Juggle underspin. So again, you can take that Aussie or you can take the Juggle, thread it on there, and that underspin just acts, again, kind of like a spinnerbait, but thumps a little different, sounds a little different. Cool little terminal tackle thing. And then we got, oh, what's that? Oh, hey, what's this? Oh, bounce. Is this the new bounce one? New custom. What's this say? Custom soft plastic. Yep, this is the new bounce worm. So again, just another finesse trick worm. Slender style. It's very similar to their divine worm. So it's got kind of that tapered body through the middle, a bigger bulbous tail on the other end, but the body itself is more narrow than their divine worm that they have now. But again, put that on a shaky head or a Texas rig, weed edges. You could probably even wacky rig that, you know, that movement that this tail is going to have being rigged in the middle. Nico rig, put a weight in the middle, a weight in the nose rather, so that'll kind of bounce like this. Anyway, you get it. So put that back, and then we have a couple of more terminal tackle. God, I can't use these either. These treble heads, I've been looking at these. I've been wanting to throw these too. So they're aligned through. So what you do is, see if you, I don't know if you'll be able to see them on camera or not, because I'm filming this on my phone, so the camera's not the best. Picking up the smaller details is probably going to be impossible. So in the nose of that, there is a hole. And then, so you put your line through, hence the name line through. You put your line through there and then come out the back. And then what you do is you take one of your divine swim baits. So now you have your line coming through there, and then this is screwed into the bait. Right? Just like that. But then what you can do is you can take your treble hook or even a two-prong hook or whatever, and you can put it back here on the bait, instead of having your keel weighted hook to where now your hook is generally in the middle of the bait. You guys know what I'm talking about. You can get that hook so it's set a little bit further back. It may affect the action a little bit, but that's not the point. You're trying to get the hook back on the bait for those short strikes. So when the fish is coming up, and then what happens is when that fish hits it, the bait comes off, of course, because they always do, right? And now this is way up out of the way. So now the fish doesn't have any leverage. You have this in its mouth, or it has a hook in its mouth. This weight is up the line. It's not throwing the weight around to where it can unhook itself. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm no good at explaining these things. But that's the purpose of these. And again, come September, I won't be able to use them. So I need to figure something out and try to convince the wife to let me spend some money to replace all my lead weights with tungsten weights, because the state of Maine isn't gonna allow you. So now we got 2 hard baits in here, and these are probably 2 of the best. The 6-inch hard baits are absolutely phenomenal. They are, from what I've used, they are the best hard baits on the market. I've used the KVD stuff, I've used the Berkeley stuff, I've used the Rapala stuff, kind of. I've used their longer, almost like a jerkbait style. I haven't used much of the Rapala stuff, just I wasn't a fan of the brand. But now that I understand and have more knowledge, I'm gonna try them out because of what they're made of. But this pressure series, this PD4, is absolute killer in pressured situations. That's why they named it that way, because the amount of square bills and the amount of different style crankbaits, they're all generally the same. So when you're fishing something at 6 feet, the crankbaits that are used at 6 feet generally all look the same. They're all 2.5 inches long. They're all round body. They all got the same similar sound. Well, what 6 Sense did is they came out with this pressure series to where they're all flat-sided, which the fish aren't used to seeing. You get down there, you know, between 6 and 12, 15, 18 feet, and the fish aren't used to seeing a tight, wobbling, different sounding, more sharp sounding crankbait. So that kind of separates the pressure series from all of the other things that can swim at the same depth, because it's shaped different and it sounds different. Again, 6 Sense, very innovative when it comes to their stuff, and super smart when it comes to design, the reasoning why. A lot of people just put out another crankbait because it's just like everything out on the market, and then they can go ahead and make their money and do their thing. 6 Sense is like, no, we're going to do stuff a little bit different. We're going to give you top quality gear. We're going to give you top quality colors, and we're going to explain why we're coming out with another crankbait. Everybody's like, why do we need another one? Why do we need another one? Well, it's not that it's another one. It's a new one that does the same job differently. Crankbait, square bill, sounds different, looks different. Fish are going to bite it. Love them. And of course, can't go wrong springtime with the Provoke 106. This one is the silent version, so no rattles on the inside. And it's in one of the best colors ever. Blue, pro blue scales. This one will work sunny days. You get those scales flashing. It's got the those reflective scales that are on the side of it. Very natural. So as that darts in the water, sunlight's going to reflect off. It looks way more natural in the water than a matte colored bait. So January with a bang. Just these 2 baits here alone. I know this is like a $15 or $16 jerk bait. This is like a $7 or $8 crankbait. So just these 2 baits alone pays for January's sack. Everything else that was in it is a bonus. So again, the value is crazy. How about that tracing the sucker out? Wild. Okay, here we go. Let's move it along. February. This is February's 6 sack. So I think I did. This is actually the one that I saw Justin Royal open. I think, if I remember, most of the colors in here are pink for Valentine's Day. Not 100% sure. Again, top quality. What's this? This is just a 6 Cent logo on the front of it. So here we go. Let's get into it. Brand new bait again. This is the Bodega 3 point. This is a small one, so the 3.5. Again, this is a finesse technique. I don't have any BFS stuff. It's a bait finesse system, or bass finesse, I don't know. For throwing the really small stuff, you would need like a 1/0 hook on these, because the bodies on them are pretty small. But this is, from what I've seen online, one of the most fish catchingest baits on the market right now. They got these two little flappers that are on the back side of that thing, And when this thing hits the bottom, boink, these things just have unintentional natural movement. These things are just down there kicking without actually having to move the bait, because the bait is so light and so small. They just naturally float in the water, and you get that, just that little, the little kicking, and it is absolutely phenomenal. The color on that, I know my lighting doesn't do it any justice, but it's that plum color, blue, green flake, and it's just, if I was a fish, I'd eat it. But then again, I'm a fatty, so I'll eat pretty much anything. You know, it's crazy, you know. God did a fantastic job creating everything that we see. You know, he created all of these fish and all of these baits that we're trying to imitate. And one of the things that Sixth Sense does is they really do try to match the color. They do a great job at matching the hatch, and they do it on purpose. It's crazy. I know I sound like I'm a fanboy, like a fan of Justin Bieber, or, you know, a Taylor Swiftie or something, but when you fish as long as I have, with as many baits as I have, and then you see another company out here that is doing the innovative things that these people are doing, and the colors and the durability of their baits are just like they're not like anything else. It's crazy. Anyway, so the Quake 70, this is their lipless crankbait. This is, again, really loud rattles on these Quakes. The 70 size, they got a Quake 80 and suspending, and all of these baits they have multiple purposes and different colors. This has got more of a matte finish to it. So, but again, with the springtime bright colors, everything's coming alive in the spring. So a lot of their colors are more vibrant. The crawfish, the early stage bluegills and the bait fish, their colors are more bright, vibrant. It's a defensive mechanism that God created into most of these creatures, is say, hey, I'm bright, I'm dangerous, stay away from me. But the bass, being as aggressive as a predatory fish as they are, as long in with the pike, they're like, I don't care, I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat you anyway. And these bright colors absolutely kill in the springtime. So awesome. Listen to this. Silly. Absolutely silly. That'll get munched. If the lakes were thawed, I'd go throw that today too. Quake 70. Awesome bait. What else we got? Let's keep this monster rolling. We got a giant, stroker craw, black and blue. Let me make sure that I get that black and blue flake. Again, I throw this by itself or as a jig trailer. If I'm looking to put something on the back of a green pumpkin jig or a black and blue jig, or a bigger, a more aggressive style Texas rig, I'll throw that stroker craw all by itself. Drink your water, folks. Drink water. Stroker craw, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a crawfish imitator, but there's a couple crawfish imitators out there, but this one, solid body, great color, black and blue flake, can't beat it. Dirty water, muddy water, something where you get probably, I'd say, less than 3 foot visibility. You want your darker colors. They give it a much contrast for the fish in the water. We can't see it, obviously, because we're not built to see in the water. So it doesn't matter which, you know what I'm saying. Big flappers though, so once that's down there starting to catch water, that thing is all, and again, the bass don't care. They're like, you can point at me all you want to, I'm gonna put you in my mouth. It's pretty wild. So, stroker craw. They make these in a couple of different sizes too. They make them in the, was it the 3.4? What's this one? 3.3. I think that's like a 2.7 that they make also. Again, that's more for the smaller, if you were to downsize your jig to like a 1/4 ounce jig or something like that, or if you're pressured water and you just need to downsize to throw something a little bit different. Stroker craw, the 2.7 is killer too. Try to get that back in the package here. Crinkle, 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 crinkle. Stroker craw. Gotta love it. Pull all 3 of these, 4. I got 4 more things in here. So January sack or February sack was huge. Yep, that's another thing that I love about the 6-sack is they don't waste. I had other subscription sacks before too, Mystery Tackle Box and whatnot, and they just sent me a bunch of crap. They don't really pay attention to the region in which you live. I don't think 6-Sense does either, but that's not the point. But they would just sell you overstocked items from other companies, and they would send you stuff that you're probably not going to use. But what 6-Sense does, we just got through that Stroker Craw, black, blue flake, and then in the same sack, 6-Sense sends you a black and blue jig to pair with your black and blue trailer. It just makes sense, you know, and they're thoughtful like that. They're not just sending you overstock items that they have on their shelf. But again, even the overstocked 6-Sense stuff or the stuff that they're trying to get rid of. So I don't know if it's overstock or they're discontinued items or whatever. They're still going to catch better fish than some of the stuff that these other companies send in their subscription boxes. So anyway, I digress again. The strobe shaker, haven't had. Wait, we had a stranger walk through the background there. He's probably coming out here to get another snack because, you know, that's all they do is eat. I don't know if everybody has kids out there, but you might, as they get older, you're going to need to pick up a second job to feed these things. Did you know that? If I don't work overtime, I can't afford the food that comes into this house. Just saying. I'm kidding, by the way. He's fine. He's a good kid. Strobe shaker 3.3. I haven't thrown these at all. I wouldn't even know how to rig them. I think they just go on a regular jig head up front. But it's got this this lip that's on the front of it there. I guess I got to take one out in order for you guys to see it. So I got this little lip that's on the front of it, and what that does is it allows it to shake. This is a forward-facing sonar bait too. You know, pair it with a tungsten jig head up front so you can see it on your sonar. I don't have that. I don't have any electronics. I don't even have a depth finder, regular simple fish finder at all. I go out there, I look for structure, I look for high percentage areas, throw my bait in there and hope for the best. So, but this strobe shaker got a lot of wiggle to it. I've seen Alabama rigs and stuff rigged up with these. It just gives the bait a lot more action. Again, the same bulbous tail on the end of it gives really good action as it's coming through the water. And I'm sure it looks great just on a regular jig head, swimming along, doing its thing, ready to get munched by the. Those are the last one. These juggle jig heads. I think they were in this sack here. Pair them up with that juggle swim bait. That's what they're designed for. If you can see there on the bottom, they have an additional weight that comes more towards the center of the bait, and then with the hook eye being further back instead of right into the nose like on a regular jig head, that allows that bait to sit more horizontal in the water column. So normally, you know, you're kind of nose down with the bait as you take a swim bait or whatnot through the thing. With that top hook being back, that's going to presents the bait in a more natural position. That's the theory anyway. I haven't seen it, but if 6-Sense is releasing, it probably catches fish. These guys go through a rigorous and lengthy research and development process before they put anything on the market. They have a team down there that goes through everything multiple times. They have prototypes that come out prior to releasing it, and they have their staff test it and make sure that it works right, looks like in the water, the durability is good. You can catch multiple fish on any of these soft plastic baits. So 6-Sense, check them out, man. They are phenomenal. Getting overcrowded here. Stout hook. These are a little bit different than the jugular hooks. The stouts have a shorter shank on them. These jugular hooks that were in the sack, they are more of a worm hook. They're longer through the shank, whereas these stout hooks are, well, of course, as the name would make you believe, they are stouter. So they are shorter through the shank, and I think they are also heavier wire. So a 3/0 stout hook could be the same as a 5/0 jugular hook because the wire is different, so that the strength is there. So which has its pros and cons. You know, it's not going to allow the bait to work as naturally because it is a stouter hook. But if you are pitching and flipping into cover, you know, heavy Texas rig or whatnot, they don't even see the hook there. That's a reaction strike that's coming out of cover. They don't have time to examine the bait and be like, oh, no, that hook diameter is not right. I'm not, you know what I mean? I can see that hook. When you're pitching and flipping into cover, they don't even notice the hook. They're like, ooh, bait, and then you jump out there and grab it. So stout hook, that's what I use on all of my stuff. I do downsize my weight, which gives it a little, so instead of throwing my Texas rig on a 3/8 or ½ ounce, I will downsize to like a 3/16 or a quarter, and let the hook help that natural motion of the bait, and it's not weighted down as much, so it does move differently through the water. So stout hooks, that's normally what I throw on almost all of my Texas rings. I just change the actual weight up front from 3/8, ½ ounce to a quarter to 3/16 quarter, that sort of stuff. What to do next? Let's save the new for last. Ain't got all that. I'm running out of space though. Now I know how these creators feel when they do these unboxings, because I'm already thinking about after this is over with, I'm picking up this mess. Just scrape it into a bigger box and put it downstairs with the rest of my stuff, right? That's how it goes. All right, so this is some stuff that I picked up that was on clearance or on sale. Sometimes if a color or a bait mold is, actually I can't even speak on that. I don't know why they do it, because some of the stuff that I have in this box is still pretty popular. It sells, people still promote it. I see the professionals talking on their YouTube channels and social media about some of these baits, but for whatever reason, Six Sense puts it in the clearance section. So I went and snagged some of that. So what I have here is the Judge, they call it a swimming worm. It's definitely more of a bait fish imitator than it is a worm imitator. So I don't know how they get away with that, but it is a like grub style swimming bait. Similar to not that one. Where'd they go? Similar to a paddle tail swim bait, right? Put that on a jig head, swim it through the water, let it do its thing, right? Keel weighted hook. That's what generally I throw because they're more weedless. I do the same thing with these. I think I went over this in a different video too, but these Judge are absolute killer, and that chartreuse tail on the end of it, the pike like to gobble up very well. And that is something that I'm going to target more this year. I'm looking, especially this spring when I first get the boat on the water, I am going to go to local lakes around the area that I know carry and have big pike, and I am looking to bow a monster. I have a couple of lakes already in mind that I know hold big pike, and that's just something that I want to, throw a trace, these big 6-inch grub tail worms. I don't have any big inline spinnerbaits, which the pike love, those bucktail style, that they chew those things up too. But I want to get onto a big pike. So if anybody has any suggestions on where to go, I know I've 2 lakes already that I know I can go to that have big pike in them, and I will be going to those as soon as they thaw. But right now, everything's still frozen, you know, because Maine. What else we got here? So picked up some more of these, the other style trailers that I really like to put on my spinnerbaits and on my chatterbaits is the whale. Where'd those go? Right here. These ones here are the smaller. These are the 3.5. I do like the 4.2. It's a little bit bigger than the juggle, and it has these pectoral fins, as you can see there, and that helps even if I get a little bit off center with my hook when I'm trying to thread it onto the bait. Those side fins help to keep the bait more upright and more natural coming through the water. So I do like to use the whale as a trailer on most of my stuff, and the whale, the Judge, the Divine, and others, I'm sure, because they're just great baits. I normally throw in a keel weighted hook that's got a screw lock on the front of it, and that keeps me weedless, so I can toss it up into weed edges and the weeds along just the bank of the lake and run that through there without having to worry about getting snagged and, you know, losing my bait. You know, your $4 hook and your $2 or $1 bait or whatever, you know what I mean? Every time you lose something, it's $5 at the bottom of the lake, and nobody likes that. I got some more of the Aussies because the color was on sale. And I did hear that they make a great trailer for the bait that we're going to see. The new stuff that 6 Cents just dropped, which I'm excited about. I haven't actually had my hands on it yet. So I got the Aussie, this color here, 4K bluegill. I really like this for my waters because of the orange that's on the belly. Yellow perch is the primary forage for most of the bass and pike in my lakes. So they have a more of a yellow orangish belly. So that's why a lot of the stuff that I try to buy has that yellow perch, bluegill type of color to it. Picked up a couple more of the, another package of those juggles. Picked up a couple more of the smaller option baits. I knew I went over these in a video a little while ago. These are the smaller ones. I think the ones that I had were 6 1/4. These are the smaller 5-inch. Again, I will be throwing these first thing in the spring on that big 7/8 extra heavy heater series rod with that reel that I'm gonna show you guys here in a second too. This long video is huge. 1.4 ounces, so you probably could get away with throwing it on a heavy moderate, which would be fine too, but I got one set up. This is about as light as I would go on that 7/8 extra heavy, 1.5 ounces, all the way out to, I'll probably throw 6 ounces or so. So I could probably go 7 if I wanted to, but 6 is about as big as I'm gonna go, I think. So that option, great bait. It's got a harness. You can move it from the top of the bait to the bottom of the bait. That way, depending on what type of cover you're fishing this next to, you don't get snagged. If you're running this along bottom, move that hook to the top, so that way you can bounce this off bottom and it can do its thing. If you're running it over brush piles or over the top of grass, keep it up top, so then when you come across the top of that grass, the hook isn't getting caught on the bottom. Move it to the bottom if they're more of if they're more, actually no, if you're running it along, if you're running it over the top of brush piles, as those fish are going to come up out of that to ambush that smaller bait, you want that hook on the bottom, so that way they catch it first. They don't have to get the whole bait into their mouth before they get to that top hook. So that's what's great about the innovation down there at 6 Cents. You can run these on multiple ways, right? All right, so here comes the new stuff. For those of you that have been living under a rock and don't know anything about the fishing industry, the chatterbait is one of the most popular and most used baits in all of the category that could be classified as fishing. Short of ice fishing, of course. Who the hell is going to run a chatterbait or vibrating jig ice fishing? If you do that, let me know why, because I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that in the history of that. So what 6 Cents has done is they released their version of that bait. They call it the Jigsaw, and it, from what I have seen so far, is ridiculously phenomenal. There's a lot of baits out there that try to imitate the gold standard of a bait. You know, for example, back in the day, that 2.5-inch KVD, or even before that, the Wiggle Wart, when it comes to your square bills. The jackhammer by, who was it, Evergreen, and drawing a blank, but that chatterbait has been the gold standard for vibrating jigs for the better part of 10 years. And I think with, you know, the legalities around patenting issues and stuff, the reason why people haven't been able to compete is because of how the blade is attached to the head. That changes the way that not only the bait sounds, but the way that it hunts, the head movement during the hunting when it's coming through the water. So now that I think the legalities of that patent issue are finished, then now everybody and their brother is going to be coming out with a chatterbait or a vibrating jig where the blade is attached directly to the head. And that's what changes the game. It works better than everything else. If you look at any, oh my Lord, let me get the information out of the way first. If you look at any other vibrating jig on the market prior to 2025, there had to be some sort of connection device between the blade of the bait and the head of the bait. They were not allowed to be connected together because that was the patent that Jackhammer had. So, and what that does is as this blade comes through the water and that blade comes over and whack, 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 that rattle that happens in there is different. You separate the blade from the head with an O-ring and you don't get the same sound, you don't get the same vibration, you don't get the same movement, you don't get the same anything. It's a completely different bait. So, and it's not nearly as effective. The Jackhammer has been the gold standard for vibrating jigs for a decade now anyway. Top quality equipment, top quality gear, and just a phenomenal fish catcher. Now that the market is going to be saturated, they had to separate themselves from everybody else, and that's what 6th Sense has done with the Jigsaw. Their color schemes are unmatched even by Z-Man, Evergreen, the Jackhammer people. The durability is not there. 6th Sense, top of the line, 100%. And they're local. You know, they're not big. Well, they are, but they're not. You know what I'm saying? And so they changed the hook on it. Anyway, I could go on and on and on and on. But this is already a 45-minute video, and we still got some stuff to go through, so I'll make it quick. That hook bend on there is way different too. Most people just use a regular round bend, which comes out more in this area, right? This O'Shaughnessy bend that they have on theirs will allow that fish to stay pinned once that, and it's more straight in this one. Most of these, when they come up, they kind of stay rounded for longer. This one gets up there and then bends right back into the travel of the bait. So once these get into the fish, there's more surface area for this hook to penetrate and the fish stays stuck. That's one of the most positive things that I've heard about anybody that's already caught fish on this Jigsaw is once you get them pinned, you're not going to lose them. If you get them stuck the way that, you know, fish eat this, and you get them stuck in the roof of the mouth, in the corner of the mouth, if you get that hook in them anywhere, that stays on the hook. I haven't really seen anybody that's caught fish on a Jigsaw yet complain that the fish comes off. I'm just saying. So what else can you say? That's the skirt, great color. I opened this one without even looking at the color. 4/0 hook. And this one is the Bluegill Magic. So again, just that standard green pumpkin, a little bit of blue, a little bit of white. You know, it's a brownish black flake. What else is cool is that on the bottom, so that way you're not looking for it. Got to get something bigger. It's painted right, the size of it is painted right on there. So 3/8 ounce Bluegill Magic. And seriously, the lakes can't thaw fast enough. I went ice fishing twice this winter. Didn't get a single, well, I had one flag, but I think it was just because I had big bait on there and it just pulled it off. I didn't catch a single fish ice fishing, and I'm ready to get into some. So I was able to snag some of these before they sold out. This dropped, I don't forget what day it was, but don't tell my boss, but I was waiting on the website at work because they, you know, their social media presence is quite high. So, and I just follow, I know them, you know, I'm a fanboy, if you will. So I knew when they were going to drop, and I was waiting on the website for them to drop at that hour, right? So it was noontime Central Time, so I was waiting at 1 o'clock. I was supposed to be working. Again, don't tell my boss. And by the time that the page could load, right? So I was like, hey, it's 1:02. Refresh. There was already two colors that were sold out. 2 minutes, the entire color selection gone. Oh well. So I was like panicking, trying to find the colors I wanted, making sure that it was something that would work in my waters. I don't want to buy something that, one, that I'm not going to throw, and two, the fish, you know, generally don't eat that color. So I didn't want it. So I panicked and I was like, here we go. So I was able to get some great colors. I did get the standard black and blue. Can't go wrong with that one. What I like about 6th Sense's black and blue, it's more of a, they do something with the eye. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that iridescent eye that they put on their black and blue, I think they were only doing it on their Black Magic line, but this black and blue with that iridescent eye, I cannot wait to throw along these weed edges this summer. This thing is gonna get absolutely chewed. And then I got this one here with a Bluegill Magic. That's another Bluegill Magic, so that one goes with this one. I got, what else did I get? This, they called this one White Ice, which looked really cool on the website. This is more of your standard bait fish color. I don't want to call it a bluegill color because it's white and blue. This is more of like your shiner or your smelt, shad even, but I don't I don't think the lakes that I don't think have any shad in them. They may have something similar, but I don't think they're classified close enough to be considered a shad. So this is going to be more for a your shiners and your smelt imitator than it is going to be a shad imitator. Granted, I guess it really doesn't matter. The fish, really don't care. They're not going to be like, that doesn't belong here. But then even then, because of how God's designed them, they're like, hey, if you don't belong here, you don't belong here, and I'm gonna eat it. So that's sometimes can be beneficial too. If you throw something that's not natural to the body of water that you're in, the fish will be like, where'd that come from? And they'll eat it. They're like, you don't belong here, I'm gonna put you in my mouth, right? Then you set the hook and then you put the fish in your mouth. Circle of life. God's design, God's plan, right? And then springtime, this is gonna be the first one that I throw. It's gonna be the first one that I lace up. That, what do they call it? Boiled craw? No, wild lava craw. Again, that red, the orange, the flash, the iridescent eye, the gold blade on it. There's no doubt. The only way that I won't catch a fish on the first cast that I throw that is because the fish aren't living there. It's gonna be wild, I can't wait. And I'm gonna pair it with this guy right here. Again, this is the Jigsaw. So this is the bait that I was talking about earlier. That is specifically designed to be the trailer for the Jigsaw bladed jig. It's got a segmented tail to it. The front half of it is more solid. It has, let's just rig one up. So because I am going to be so excited to throw this, I am going to take this one out of the package and rig it right now. Spent the last hour talking about baits and I am all ready to go. I wish there was a way for me to go. I wish I had a pool. I would go out back right now and throw these baits just so I could get the sensation of making a cast. Right, so again, it's got that same wire style. A little bit different on these ones versus the BattleBait stuff is that these ones have 2 wires in it. The BattleBait stuff only has 1, which is fine. It's gonna hold your bait on there just as well. So on the back of these baits, they have, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, they have those holes. You guys see those holes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those are supposed to, depending on the size of your hook. So I'm assuming that eventually these are going to be able to different size chatterbaits. So I think eventually maybe 6th Sense is going to release different sizes of these. And because this bait is designed with forward thought in mind, you'll be able to rig them, not have to replace your trailer. You'll be able to rig them on the same bait, bigger bait, because of your markings that are on your trailer. Make sense? So from what I've heard already, or from what I've heard, oh, also in the chin of these things, little chinny chin, right? Huff and puff and blow your house down. It's cupped. So that kind of tells you where the center of the bait is. So the rule is you put your hook in your cup. And then that sets it in the middle of your bait. Then you run that down until your third, from what I've heard, come right out that third. Ooh, I need to buy it. Buy it again. Come out that third hole. Again, because I like to do it, so I turn that 90 degrees. See how the bait is then twisted? I slide that onto the bait onto the hook at 90 degrees, and then I spin that back into the direction in which it's supposed to travel. right? And that right there, my friends, is going to be, I can almost guarantee it. Mark my words now. What are we, March 13th, Friday the 13th, 2026, this bait right here will be the bait that catches my first fish of the 2026 open water season. Mark it. Fact check me later, please. Okay, again, oh, I kind of missed the hole. But that, and then that action right there, that thing folds over 180 degrees. That thing right there, that's going to be so much action in behind that chatterbait. The way that that's going to move and come through the water is going to be unparalleled. From nobody, you can't match it. That right there is probably going to become my new trailer. If they come out with different sizes, that 4.8 is a little big to put on the back of a spinnerbait that's this size. If they downsize it and come out with like a 4, 3.8, 4, that would be great. So that way you can downsize it and put it on as your trailer for your smaller spinnerbaits. But that 4.8 pairs great behind the jigsaw from 6 cents. Come on, water. Melt. I don't want the water to melt. I want the ice to melt. You know what I'm saying? Oh, words. The English language, man. What did we do? And then I got that same trailer in the Green Pumpkin Pro color. This is a green pumpkin across the top, just a regular standard green color, black flake, but the belly has got this purple hue to it with some black flake down there. And again, it's just a phenomenal imitator for the bait fish that live in my lake. This Green Pumpkin Pro is top notch, 100% out of this world. Works for me. Jigsaw from 6 cents. Again, I will link their website down below. I can't say enough good things about them. Not a sponsor, although if they wanted to pick me up, I would jump on board, just because they're a phenomenal company. They're grounded, they're grassroots, they're family run and operated. It's just a great company. I will also stick this up on the screen. I will leave that there for a couple of seconds or so. Take a screenshot of that and save it to your phone. You can go, I'm sure it's got a discount code. Scan code for exclusive 6 cents and Waterland options. Waterland is their sunglass company. I have a couple of pairs of their stuff too on them. Phenomenal. Best pair of sunglasses I've ever owned. They're expensive, you know, their stuff ain't cheap, but quality comes with a price. So they are top quality stuff. It comes with a, I don't even want to say it is a top quality price point because it's cheaper than something. I bought the wife a pair of Costas, cost me $200. I put those on my face and I don't see a difference than the $130 Waterlands that I bought. And I don't know if it's just because of the different tinting and whatnot in the lens themselves. I'm not a sunglasses engineer, so I don't know how that stuff works, but those $200 Costas that my wife wears, I don't think are as good of quality or performance as the Waterland sunglasses that I bought from 6 cents. So call me biased because I just love their company. I love their stuff. I love their products. I love their team. You know, Justin Royal, Ben Milliken, Lee Livesey, Corey Johnston, all of those, Trey McKenney, you know, he's probably the biggest name in bass fishing right now. The kid is phenomenal, 18 years old and taking Bass Masters by this. He's like, I'm going to take this place over. He is, from what I can see, he's probably the best fisherman on the planet right now. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The last thing that I have to show you guys is the reel. I settled on a reel for that 7/8 extra heavy, fast, my big swim bait stuff. My big swim bait rod that I'm going to throw the option, the one that I'm going to throw the trace, the big trace, the 7 1/4, the big 9-inch draw. Anything from like 1.5 ounces to 7 ounces, I am going to throw on that 7/8 extra heavy. Like I said in the last video, that is a technique that I have not done before. I've tried to throw this trace on one of the rods that I already have. It handled it just fine, but it was only I think it was a 7/1 extra heavy. That's the Creature series from 6 Gill. I'll link them down below also. That's who I have all my rods through, other with the exception of the 2 heater series rods that I just got. But I settled on a reel. I was looking around at baits. The reel that I would have gotten from them for that technique was just shy of $500. I was looking at a Shimano Tranx 300 that I wanted to get, but again, that was like $375. The cheapest one I could find anywhere, Tackle Warehouse, eBay, was still in that $350, $375, $390. Some of them were over $400, and I'm like, I'm not spending that much money for a reel on a technique that I don't even know if I'm going to enjoy. I'm sure I'll enjoy it if it catches fish, but again, that's one of those techniques where you just have to grind it out. Big baits generally catch bigger fish, and bigger fish are smart, so they don't generally just come out and eat anything that you throw in front of them. You have to make sure that they live there. You have to be accurate with your cast. You have to be patient with your presentation. You have to be patient with the overall technique itself. And if you're not patient, you're not going to catch them. Just like is in life, if you're not patient, if you're expecting immediate gratification for anything that you do in life, you're constantly going to be disappointed. There's a life hack for you. If you be patient and wait on God's timing and not your own timing, if you wait for him to put the proper things in front of you, everything falls into place. That's how this YouTube channel started. I waited. I didn't do it on purpose. You know, I was scared and I was afraid. And then other stuff happened in the background, and I'm like, okay, this seems like the right time to do this. And I jumped off with both feet, and here we are. Now I'm over an hour into this video. This is crazy that I've been able to talk about baits for this long. I'm sure you guys are bored out of your skulls. If you have taken the time to watch this video this long, I cannot thank you guys enough. I hope that you stick with it through the whole thing. If not, just put it on your phone, let it run in the background, and watch an episode of Love Island on TV, or an episode of whatever it is show that you watch. Put this on one device and just let it run. Okay, anyway, so what I settled on was the Shimano Curado 300K. This was, I found this on sale, again, just research through the internet. It's normally like a $280 reel, which is a pretty decent price point for a Shimano anyway. And it was on sale for $204. So I think I still have the receipt for this in my email inbox. So I will go ahead and link the website that I was able to find this on sale also in the description. So I have to make sure that I get 6 cents. I have to make sure that I get BattleBaits, and then the website that I bought this Shimano Curado from. So this thing is big. I'm not gonna lie, it feels pretty hefty in the hand, which is to be expected for a 300 size reels. For those of you who don't know, 300 generally goes for the depth of your spool. When you're using a reel this big, you're generally throwing bigger baits, which of course comes with bigger line. If you don't have the spool capacity to put line on it, what happens is when you go to make those long casts, because the bait is so heavy, big long rod, heavy bait, you can throw these things hundreds of feet. So if you don't have enough line capacity, what you can end up doing is you can end up casting all of your line off. And if you get into those one-off situations, which would be pretty crazy, is you get all the way out there at the end of your line and a fish bites it immediately. Now you have no room to fight that fish. You have to make sure that you chase after it with your boat as you take up your line, chasing it with your trolling motor to get line back on your spool. So if that thing decides to take drag, that now you've just lost everything, especially if you break it at your arbor knot. You just lost 300 feet of line. You lost a $30 bait and probably $10 worth of fluorocarbons. So you got to make sure that you have the right gear for the right job. And I believe this Shimano Curado 300K is going to go ahead and do that for me. Super smooth right out of the box. I haven't even taken it apart yet. But I have heard rumors that Shimanos do come dry. So I will be taking the side plate off this to verify that I have oil in my bearings and grease on my gears, because I don't want to get out there, make my first cast or hook into my first fish, and then hear a bunch of because this thing is grinding away. So, but it does feel smooth right out of the box. Shimano is known for their smoothness. I have a Shimano on one of my crankbait rods downstairs, and it is just, they are great. That's it. Shimano 300, Shimano Corrado 300K going on my 7/8 extra heavy heater series rod from Justin Royal. And that is going to do it, my friends. Holy moly, hour and 5 minutes as of right now. And I cannot even begin to tell you how blessed I feel. God really has put me into a position to where I have all of these blessings in front of me. I have a support system behind me that is, allowing me and giving me the opportunity to do this sort of stuff. I have a supportive family. I don't have any friends, which is fine. You know what I mean? I got a couple of buddies that I fish with from time to time and send messages. One of them lives out of state, so we don't even get a chance to fish together. Shout out Dustin. But none of this happens by myself. Like I was just saying, God has put me in the position and he has given me these blessings. And I don't even know how to. This channel is supposed to be about giving recognition to God. I am very young, in the infancy of my following to God. Wasn't baptized until 2022. So I don't even know how to begin to talk about him, other than he has completely changed my life. If anybody that knew me 15 years ago, you would think I'm probably a big hypocrite because you judge me off the life that I used to live versus the way that I'm talking and being now. I drank, I smoked, I swore, I cussed, I slept around, I was unfaithful. I was a bad person. But anyway, that's for a different video. I will eventually film my testimony video and really give you guys an understanding of how I came to be such a close follower of Christ. And I can't tell you enough. If anybody's on the fence on whether or not, start with the Gospels. If anybody is wondering, where do I start? How do I start? What do I check out first? Start with the first 4 books of the New Testament: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Read those first. It shouldn't take you more than a couple of weeks, depending on how much time you put into it. And those paint the best picture that I have heard of how to be more Christ-like. They are eyewitness testimonies to how Jesus lived when he was on this earth and his teachings when he was through the disciples. The stories, it's just, if you're on the fence on whether or not, if you're struggling with whatever, start with the 4 Gospels. And I can almost guarantee you that that's going to touch your heart enough to read and make changes to become a better person. Even if you eventually, everybody's all like, well, do I have to give up all of these other things in my life to be a follower of Christ? And the way that I describe it is, eventually your heart is just going to change and you're not going to want to do those things. If you drink and smoke and drug and party and out and living in that environment, but also on the fence of, hey, I want to be better and I want to be closer to God, start there. Start with the Gospels, and then eventually that will get into your heart and into your soul, and you will just stop doing the bad things. I know it sounds weird. It's not a matter of it will just stop. It's like your brain and your rewire that you're going through, drawing closer to God, would be like, oh, I'm not supposed to do that. It's not that I don't want to. That's the temptation that we're all faced with every single day. But the closer you can draw to God, and the more that you allow it to take over your soul, your heart, your mind, your actions, the other stuff just falls away. You just don't want, it just goes away. I know it sounds weird, and you're like, no, you're full of crap. No, I'm telling you, it's the truth. I'm a walking example of how God can change somebody's life. And there's a lot of us out there. So put anything down in the comments. I'll be glad to, help you, guide you as much as I can. Like I said, I'm still in the infancy when it comes to following God and becoming closer to Christ, but I'll help you in any way I can. Just know that with the community that you have around you, the people that you have around you, and God himself, you are never alone. Okay, so if you are struggling with loneliness or sorrow or grief or whatever, you're not alone. Okay, reach out to me in the comment section. I'll call you. You know, I'd rather take your 7 minutes now than see you at your funeral. So don't ever be afraid to reach out. I have all my notifications turned on, so if anything ever comes up in anywhere, they're always on. You can ask my wife. She's always asking me when I'm on my phone. Generally, it's going back and forth with Dustin about fish and stuff, because that guy fishes all the time. I'm jealous. But it's, I am blessed. And I just hope that everybody recognizes that you're not alone. God's with you. He's on your heart. He knit you in the womb. He knows who you are. So reach out. He is always ready to listen. He's your burden bearer. Anything that you may want to give to him, you can give to him. And that's gonna do it. So I don't even have any suggestions, so just hit it up in the comments. Give me suggestions about what to film next. I know the end of March is coming up, so I'll have another unboxing for the March version of the 6-ack coming up here in a couple of weeks. What's today, the 13th? Yeah, I'll get it around the 25th or so. So closer to the end of the month, I'll put in another one, or I'll wait to the beginning of April and do it then. But either way, God bless you all. Thank you for checking it out. Love you.